Hey all you book lovers, welcome to Book Hooks. I'm Curren with the Azle Memorial Library, and I've got some really good nonfiction for you today. And if you're a bibliophile, stay tuned for the last book because it's a good one. But the first book I want to talk about is Moxie, The Secret to Bold and Gutsy Leadership by John Baldoni. And this is definitely a book that people in the business world, whether you're a supervisor, manager, CEO, entrepreneur of your own business, will benefit from. But people who work in nonprofits, maybe help schedule volunteers, you're a Boy Scout leader, anything in a leadership role can benefit from this book. And what Baldoni does is he takes the acronym Moxie and he lays it out in different categories. So there's mindfulness, opportunity, X factor, innovation, and engagement. And he breaks these down into different chapters, and each chapter has subsections that are very digestible, very approachable. And I think it's something that is a good book for note-taking. So if you wanted to have a journal or tablet on hand while you're reading it, you'll get some really good ideas from this. And it'll make you think about your own leadership and how you can change or figure out what you're doing well. So for anyone who's looking for leadership advice, I recommend Moxie by John Baldoni. And the next book we have is called Everyone's a Critic, Winning Customers in a Review-Driven World by Bill Tanzer. This book is awesome. I absolutely loved it. Yes, it does kind of play into that business sense that we were talking about with Moxie, but this is going to be a great read for anyone who loves statistics, social science, any kind of analysis, and anything in the business world. And tech junkies might like it too, because the reviews he's talking about are online reviews. So Bill Tanzer actually wrote a book a few years ago called Click, What Millions of People Are Doing Online and Why It Matters. It was a New York Times bestseller. He knows what he's talking about. He has his own marketing firm, and he knows this business. Now, unlike Moxie, which was a pretty quick read, this is 230 pages, so it's a little bit longer, but I still read it fairly fast because it was just fascinating. And it had a lot of good information that I could put to use. So I was really surprised to learn how popular online reviews have gotten. Sites like Yelp, for example, many of you probably heard of it. It's for reviewing restaurants, services, businesses. Has 9.9 million visits per week, and they have over 27 million reviews. And that's just at the time of publication for this. He mentioned how reviews online have increased tenfold since 2008. So they are just taking off, and businesses nowadays that don't have a web presence but also don't have reviews online are really missing out. Now, he did start off the book explaining how most businesses are actually afraid of reviews, and I thought it was kind of funny at first, and I realized no, it's kind of true, because when you let people review your business, you're letting them say whatever they want, whether it's good or bad, and you're really exposing yourself to opinions that you can't control. And I know as a leader and a director of a library, that's scary to not be in control. But he goes into the research and he gives actual evidence that reviews are beneficial to any business, whether they're good or bad. Now, there are some cases where business just really kind of stinks and they're going to get all one-star reviews and they kind of need it. But most businesses are going to have a little bit of bad reviews, and those bad reviews are actually what customers tend to go to first. They want to see what's this place doing wrong, and then they'll compare it to the positive reviews and kind of outweigh the pros and cons. It also shows that a business has honest reviews if they have some bad reviews. For example, businesses or restaurants that have all 5 stars. People nowadays know that spammers go out there and leave fake reviews. People are hired, friends and families just review their friends or, my brother's restaurant. Of course I'm going to give it 5 stars. But it shows that people are honest and it's a real review. The other thing he does is he gives businesses advice on how to start getting reviews and how to get good reviews. And some of that is taking your bad reviews, seeing what needs to be done, and then improving your business based on user feedback. But my favorite part of this was the data analysis that he talks about. He actually kind of gave me some insight into things that I hadn't really thought about. One is how businesses can use reviews not only to improve their own business, but they can look at reviews of other businesses to enhance their business. So for example, if you, the YouTube viewer, wanted to start your own bakery, for example, you could go on Yelp, look at all the bakery reviews in your area and see where they're lacking and where they're doing well. And then if you can go in and fill a need for service that other bakeries don't have, you're going to be making some money, or, well, making some dough, quite literally. But, sorry, I love puns. But, so that was really, really interesting. And he talks about certain businesses and how they failed and how they've succeeded just based on user feedback and how well they use that user feedback. So if you want a really, really fascinating read, I definitely recommend Everyone's a Critic. Now, the next book is one of those books that not everyone's going to be into. I think if you have an interest in psychology, you might like this book, but it's one of those books where if you know someone with this condition or have this condition, you are going to eat this book up because it's full of good information. And so this book is called The Man Who Couldn't Stop, OCD and the True Story of a Life Lost in Thought. It's by David Adam. And David Adam is a journalist, magazine writer, editor. He's a very prominent British journalist. So it is put from a British point of view. There are a few words in there that are very British, but it's approachable to anybody. And I was really surprised to learn that the average person has about 4,000 thoughts a day, but people with OCD, the problem they have is they can't get out of some of those thoughts. So some of the thoughts are very repetitive in their mind and they can't escape them. And he gave a really good example. He said, imagine a computer screen. Now, if you open some of your windows in the computer screen, you can look at them and then minimize them or close out of them completely and open up new ones. Well, that's kind of like the average person's thoughts. I could think about butterflies, forget about it, and then go think about McDonald's. I don't know. But what people with obsessive compulsive disorder, the problem they have is they have a big window right in the middle of their screen. And no matter how many times they try to minimize it or X out of it, they can't. So they can still have other windows about butterflies and McDonald's going on and minimizing and closing, but this main window just won't go away, kind of like a virus that keeps popping up. And so they develop habits to kind of counteract this. So for example, if one of their thoughts is, I'm going to get AIDS, which is one of the things he actually himself has an issue with, they might continuously wear gloves or wash their hands or be afraid to touch other people. And those are the compulsions that come in along with those obsessive thoughts. So about 2 to 3% of people suffer from OCD. And he goes into other conditions about OCD that he compares it to OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. The difference kind of is people with OCD know that they have an issue and they want to deal with it, but they can't. Whereas OCPD, he refers to them as those anal people who like everything has to be just so, and they're meticulous and they drive everyone crazy, but they have no clue. But okay, so why should you read this book over other ones? There are other books written about OCD. Most of them are from about 2005 or later, and they're in one of two categories. You've either got your memoirs, where it's just talking about their childhood and their life and how terrible it was, or you've got your kind of medical-based books, such as Loving Someone with OCD, which was written by a physician, an RN, and a counselor, and that's kind of the go-to guide for anybody who knows someone with OCD. This one, though, is very timely because in May 2013, the American Psychological Association reclassified OCD. It used to be in the anxiety disorders, but now it has its own category. It's the OCD spectrum, and this includes body dysmorphic disorder, skin picking, hoarding. A lot of people have seen that popular show Hoarders. I mean, that is taking OCD to the extreme when you have a hoarding tendency like that. And not all people with hoarding have OCD, but it's in that category. So he does give a really good history of OCD. He gives his own personal narratives and then examples from other people who have had OCD in the past, from other countries. He doesn't go too much into the medical aspects of it in terms of medications and treatment. He talks about treatments that have been used in the past, such as aversion therapy that don't work anymore, or have been proven to not work, I should say. But it's a good read if you want to get familiar with this topic, whether you know someone with OCD or not. And that is The Man Who Couldn't Stop by David Adam. Okay, we're getting to the good stuff. I love this book. The best place to be today, 365 things to do and the perfect day to do them. And this is by Lonely Planet. Lonely Planet does travel guides, and their travel guides are great. They're all in color. They've got some really good information on different countries. But what this does is it's not about one particular place. It's about the calendar year and where you should go during certain times of the year. In the past, I've always really loved the guide that Texas Monthly comes out with. They have like a spring festival guide, and they tell you all the festivals going on in Texas, so you can kind of plan your trip based on those dates. Well, this is the same thing. It starts with January 1st and goes to December 31st. And it literally just for every single day of the year gives you an event, where it's located, a little kind of map so you can see what part of the country it's located in, and it even often gives you a website where you can get more information. I would say most of these have a website because obviously these countries want you to come for tourism reasons. So for example, on February 25th, which is coming up pretty soon, you could go to Australia and see Tasmanian devils and their cute little offspring kind of scampering about for the first time for the season. And as you can see, there are great photographs with this. So this book is really cool, even if you're not going to travel, just to travel from the couch and look at all the photos. You could go kayak with killer whales in Canada, and that's in August. And it doesn't just have nature, it has festivals and events as well. So we all have heard of Oktoberfest in Germany on October 1st. But there are some really unique countries in here that I would have never thought to travel to. For example, they've got Swaziland, and they've got festivals in Peru and hiking adventures you can take. It is a cool book, whether you just want to flip through it or actually use it as a travel guide. So get this book, it's awesome. Check it out from your library. And I promised you bibliophiles we'd have something really cool to talk about. This book is awesome. It's The History of the Book in 100 Books. The Complete Story from Egypt to the ebook by Roderick Cave and Sarah Aya. This is one of those books where it's a great coffee table book because you can just look at it at your leisure. But if you're a true bibliophile, you'll want to read it cover to cover. But what I love about it is it doesn't just talk about books, it talks about really written word and communication over time. And it's a timeline. It starts with the very first kind of written word, which was cave paintings, and they were not even words, they were just pictures. But it was man's first form of writing down, so to speak, and recording their history. It goes straight into the next big thing, which were clay tablets. We've all seen tablets. It talks about the methods they used to make them, what they were used for, how they've been preserved. I thought what was really cool is around, let's see, 700 CE, so that's 700 AD, if you will. The Koreans actually developed their own form of printing press, so to speak. They developed tablets that could be used to mass produce certain works of Buddhism and other things. And most of these tablets were destroyed by the Mongols, but their emperor or leader, or whoever it was, had them remade. So there are tablets to this day that you can actually, well, I don't know if they let you go see them, but they're there. There are just, there's so many cool things in this book. I wish I could show you every page. They also go into the origins of children's books and children's writings because people didn't really write down things specifically for children or tell tales. So we've got in the 17th century, of course, Aesop's Fables. Everyone knows about that. The first cookbooks, which I loved. I mean, these were way older than what I thought. And here, it's not even a cookbook. It's just a picture. They've got a little animal that they killed, and you can see a picture of garlic and some spices. So they're just kind of depicting what you can do. I thought that was fascinating. And then of course the written word gets into pictures and mapping, so you get to see some really cool original maps, which were again a form of recorded information, and the use of monastery prayer books and the just intricate calligraphy that they used on vellum. And then, of course, we get into using photographs in books for the first time in the, I believe, 18th century. 1800s. And it goes all the way to the end where it talks about our use of the modern book and the modern written word. We used things to market. For example, they were using books and written word to market the colonies when we first settled, and a lot of propaganda during the wars that we've had in the past century. And of course, then it goes into ebooks and digitizing some of these ancient books so we can record them forever, which is pretty cool. So this is one of those books you'll probably end up reading cover to cover, but you don't have to. It's a great conversation starter and coffee table book, and that's The History of the Book in 100 Books by Roderick Cave and Sarah Aya. So check these books out at the Azel Library, at your library. Just get them, read them, let us know what you think. You can leave us a comment or come to our website, azellibrary.org, or join us on Facebook, and we can't wait to hear back from you, and we'll see you next time.